Which are the major trends in the oil and gas chemical industry in Central Asia? The Central Asia region has traditionally been regarded as a promising area for the development of the petrochemical industry. There are several prerequisites which are mainly considered to confirm this assumption. First of all, the availability of raw materials. The region is rich in oil, the region is rich in gas. Speaking of Kazakhstan, there have been several landmark events in the country recently, which make it possible to further unlock this potential. First of all, I would like to mention the launch of ENG complex for the production of polypropylene, KPI. This is a multi-billion-dollar project. It is the first integrated petrochemical complex in Kazakhstan, and of course, it is such a milestone for the development of the petrochemical industry in the country. Previously, petrochemical products has been produced in Kazakhstan, but this industry was mainly represented by relatively small enterprises that took advantage of their proximity to oil refining assets. And it was only the KPI project that truly became a full-fledged, large integrated complex, and now the realization of it gives hope that similar complexes will be created in Kazakhstan. The launch of this complex allows us to say, guys, we did it, we can build a large petrochemical complex. Another aspect that I would like to highlight regarding the prospective development of the industry in Kazakhstan is the entry into the country's petrochemical projects of some major industry players, such as Russia's Sibur, the planned entry of China's Sinopec, the creation of a joint venture with Russia's Tatneft. So all these companies possess sufficient experience in the petrochemical industry. They are experienced in building new production facilities, they have experience in manufacturing petrochemical products, supply chain management, entering new markets, and successful marketing of products. So these are the necessary competencies that the companies will be bringing in when entering Kazakhstani projects. This will also be a key success factor that will facilitate further development of the industry in the country. What are the barriers to further developing the industry in Kazakhstan? During this conference, the audience was already polled on what is the key obstacle to developing the petrochemical industry in this region, and the majority of the audience mentioned the lack of investment. Well, in my opinion, this is more of a consequence than a cause, and the cause is in another area. First of all, along with the advantages that we have already discussed, the development of petrochemical industry in Kazakhstan does have a limitation, and this limitation cannot be controlled. We just have to live with it. This limitation is the remoteness of Kazakhstan from the key markets for petrochemical products. So what does it entail? It entails, first of all, high product transportation costs. Besides transportation costs, one should note the complexity of the logistics chain, because in order to deliver products to key sales market, we have to use railroad transport, then we have to use sea transport, we have to transship products in ports, and obviously this carries certain risks in terms of stability and in terms of security of supply. So this is one factor. And the other factor, which again results from such a remote, isolated location of Kazakhstan, is the difficulties with the supply of equipment necessary for the construction of a petrochemical production facility. This is a matter that can be solved, obviously, but again, it has a negative impact on the cost of all petrochemical projects. Now, what do we have as a result? On the one hand, we have lower profitability of projects due to high logistics and transportation costs. And on the other hand, we have high capital expenditures. As a result, the projects that are being implemented here potentially have lower profitability than similar projects that are being implemented in the Middle East or the projects that are being implemented, say, in coastal China. And another big focus area here is, of course, government support. It is a matter of how much, to which extent, the government of Kazakhstan is willing to support the petrochemical industry and what measures it is prepared to take in this regard. I mean, currently the support is planned. It is planned in terms of infrastructure projects, the ones to provide new production facilities with roads, power lines, etc. But perhaps it is a good idea to think about some direct support measures related, say, to tax regulation, maybe the introduction of some preferential tax rates. So all should be done so that the investors who are coming with their money, who are willing to invest in petrochemical industry, choose Kazakhstan over, say, the United Arab Emirates. To which extent is it important to strive for import substitution? Yes, indeed, in recent years, the idea of import substitution has become quite popular in many countries. That is, it is a banner that is very easy to raise and with which it is very easy to walk around government institutions claiming that we are going to build a petrochemical project and provide the domestic market with the necessary products and achieve everything needed. Well, the fact is that the markets for petrochemical products in Central Asia are quite narrow. And if the aim is to build a petrochemical project on a global scale, a project that would be efficient in terms of operating costs, focusing on the domestic market, focusing solely on import substitution is not justified. Of course, domestic markets need to be developed, but here again, we should not harbor any illusions, thinking that this development of the domestic market will allow us to increase domestic consumption many times over. The examples of Western Europe and North America in terms of per capita consumption of petrochemical products are often cited, but these figures are somewhat misleading. They are voiced as goals for the development of the domestic market, but here I believe we should not fall into this trap, as these markets are somewhat different from the markets of Central Asia. These markets have a rather longer history of development in terms of consumption of petrochemical products, I mean polymers, I mean other products. And yet another very important point to remember is that the overall consumption of petrochemical products in a country is related to the development of other industries, be it automobile manufacturing or construction, electronics production, etc. So if a country sets a task to increase this domestic consumption, it is not possible to just get away with the production of plastic packaging, something as trivial as that. What is needed here is to think about the comprehensive development of the national economy, which is beyond competence of the petrochemical community, right? Are there any specific features of the countries in the region with regard to the development of industry? Each of these countries do have their own specifics, starting with the level of raw material availability. For example, Kazakhstan is a major oil-producing country, as we all know, and naturally the focus here should be on deep oil conversion. That is, it should be less about fuel production and more about treating oil as a petrochemical feedstock. Turkmenistan, on the other hand, is a country with huge natural gas resources, a country that is the fourth in the world in terms of these resources. So obviously, the focus here should be on gas monetization. In terms of consumption, there are also some distinct features. Uzbekistan is the most densely populated country in the region and the country with the highest consumption of petrochemical products. So obviously, this also affects the path of development of the industry the country should follow.